Uh, so we are going to divide this demo into parts as we did previously. First part will be related to the new feature which is called the page designer, and the second part it's also related to that, but it is how to access these different pages on existing ITGs. So first of all, I'm going to show a previous screen that we already have seen sometimes, which is this. This is the page designer. We already have seen this. This is where the author constructs the different nodes and the flow. So the node that we are going to talk about is this one. Oh, sorry there. Let me refresh. Okay, this is the new feature that we are implementing here. First, I'm going to explain what are these areas. Um, I'm going to use the snipping tool so I can draw over here. So we have this area here. This is for editing the node name. We have all the controls here. The different consumers will be appearing in this section, and all the related properties with each control will be appearing here. Okay, so now the default preview area is this. We're right now is showing add form controls here. So as soon as the user clicks here, we are going to highlight this default consumer, and we can start adding different controls over the preview. Let's suppose that
What
I
do we
already.
mean by consumer, Carlos?
Okay, maybe someone can help me and explain what their consumers are, but I mean in more detail. But basically, we are thinking the different consumers such as Xfinity or X360 or my account.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so let's
Yeah,
assume.
so this is Evan, this is similar to like what we did the MPF, right? Multi-page form in the TransferFlow product. So this is like more explicitly you can create a pages by the consumers. That's
Okay.
inside the same flow.
Okay, so let's assume that we already include some controls here on the default consumer, and it's a simple form which has a username, an address, maybe a checkbox, and a radio group, and a button. That's it. So let's suppose that I want to change the properties of this address field. Then I should be able to click in the properties here, or just 1 second here, and then all the different properties for this particular control will be displayed here on the right hand side. And here there are some concerns that Govind raised. First, the concern is that the panel for the consumer looks like it's fixed in height, and he would like to be able to expand this into a more larger view so he can work more comfortable. We are going to include this into our design discussion so to see how we can uh, enhance this functionality here, to particularly the size of the controls. Also, another concern is, can we reorder consumers? Meaning, let's suppose I want to, I already have, I don't know, 9 different consumers, for example, and I want to compare the very last one to my account. So the issue is that one is at the very bottom and one is at the beginning. So how can I compare side to side? That's the issue that also we are going to include into our design discussion. And uh, related to this, the same one is if we can have a separate preview during the page designer. So right now here we are able to see the preview for all the different consumers, all the different pages. but he's asking if we can have a separate view just to see only one. And that's it. That's the three concerns that he pointed out in this particular uh, phase of the demo. And there is one more that it's on part 2.
Okay. What does it look like when you have multiple form controls? How do you navigate through all of them on the same page?
You mean from default to my account?
No, not the consumers, just the form controls, right? So maybe you have a label and then radio buttons and then submit buttons. What does that look like when you have multiple form controls on one page?
Okay, yeah. So to see the different properties, you can click here on the edit, and this, as you can see up here, it says property for input text. And if you click here, you will see properties for, actually this is the same, sorry. But here I'm representing all the different controls. See, for example, we have this new link. So we can have the customization for this particular link, but instead of clicking here, you need to click on the particular control. That's the only thing. No.
So are all those different boxes representing multiple form controls? Is that like a label and a checkbox and radio buttons and a
Yeah, these form controls are
button?
yes are the different building blocks what you have to put together here in your page. And to access those properties, you need to click on the edit icon. Yes.
Okay, so in the one that you have highlighted with default, right?
Correct.
That would be 1, 2, 3, like 4 different form controls right there, and then you would edit the properties.
Yes, clicking here, and you will see the properties on the right-hand side. If you want to edit, for example, for Xfinity, let me go ahead with the example. Okay, let's suppose here I have more consumers, right? And I have a niche here. So as soon as I highlight this image, I will having the edit icon here appearing, and I will be able to see the properties on the right-hand side. As you can see, I can specify the URL, the label, or the size of the image.
So I had another question. The more I continue seeing it, more questions come up, obviously. We have the default, right? And we're adding a new consumer. Say Evan has already designed the default. Adding a new consumer, will it automatically populate with the whatever is there in the default, and then we just go in and modify just whatever is needed or change something, or is it going to be a blank screen every time and you have to redo the screen completely?
No, we have this feature for copy. Actually, let me demonstrate again.
I'm not talking about copy. When I say add consumer, right, within the multi-page whatever we have here.
Yes.
Right. When you say add consumer, right, is it going to take everything in default, copy it, and then allow us to rename it to whatever it is that we have as a consumer?
That's different. First, for example, first we need to add a consumer. As soon as we add the different consumers will be coming empty. At this point, you can, for example, I want to populate Xfinity with whatever default already has. So because I put some effort into build default, now I want to populate Xfinity with the content of default. In that case, I'm going to click here on Xfinity in the duplicate from, then yes, copy button. Then I will be able to select here default or whatever other consumer I want to copy. And then all the contents will be filled in here as a copy from whatever I already selected.
Okay. That was my question. Okay.
And now second part is how to access how to perform a search for different process and access the different pages that contains that particular ITG. So we have this section here, which is kind of a search engine. So here you can start typing different name of process, and as soon as you choose one, you will be displaying how many pages has and what are the different consumers and their different descriptions. Actually, I think I forgot to mention that every page inside of a consumer.
The test pages before just to design something and kind of get a better idea how it would look in the end if I'm unsure. So this might kind of help with that, I think.
Awesome.
Yes, I think that will be easier for the other to start designing and compare things. This is where Goving raised their concern that how I going to be able to compare, for example, X360, which is very well visible in comparison with my account, for example, right? So we need to figure out some way to have this kind of comparison more at hand, and you can easily spot differences or things that you want to change in one particular consumer or page.
Okay. Where are those images stored?
I think that's a question for Karthik. Karthik was mentioning that it will be stored in some repository secure. I don't know.
So
What is the question, guys?
the images where they're stored, Karthik, like moving forward, if in order for us to get out of the whole JSON thing with HNS, would we be able to like link directly to wherever they're storing their images?
Right.
Okay. So we would just have to know the
think
path
of
to
this
their
as, like,
images.
this way, right? I mean, like, every image has like URL slash its model number. That's the link for the in our knowledge base today. That's how it's stored in. So the idea would be like when we put the URL component in there, you'll be putting the default URL which actually goes to your knowledge base repository, and the model number will be a dynamic value because for every account the model is different, right? So the model value you'll be opening it dynamically. During the runtime, it will load the image. Okay.
Okay.
I just have a quick question about if we were authoring like a select drop down. Does it display in the preview? Like, can I actually click on the drop down and see all the options that I've authored, or is it just a field there
No,
that I
no,
can actually?
it should be possible to preview a drop down as soon as you are editing the different options and you can see it on the preview. You can go ahead and click on the actual default and see how the user is going to see it. So if you want to check if some option is coming there, yes, you can go ahead and check it.
Okay, and is there a character limit on those?
All those are like restrictions can be um, programmed for the on the development. But yeah, if you have a particular requirement about limit, we can take a look.
The limits are going to differ by the channel, Makara, too. So.
Yeah. I was just thinking if, we have had some that were longer, how would that fit in there, or would it just kind of shrink to fit in it, or how that might work? I don't know.
Okay.
So
yes,
the sky is the limit, So
Okay.
since this is not Oracle, so we are not restricted by the product.
Okay.
If we need to change any of those limits, it should be like very minor change for the dev team.
Yeah, if you are asking for the long of the names, I think we don't have any problem with that.
Right. But to Evan's point, there may be other restrictions from like the back end, what the consumer will support or cannot support. Right. So even TTS has like 126 or 2, whatever limit. So here, the limit is whatever, we want to set it at. It shouldn't be any limitations here. But backend limitation might play in here.
Okay. Any more comments or questions?
Does it come in a dark theme?
Come again? in a dark theme? We can have a feature for that.
We need these need to be cards, right? So we can actually move them around.
Go, man.
I know. So,
what was that? Sorry, guys, I got missed that.
That's all right, Karthik. I was joking. I was asking if it came in a dark theme.
Okay.
And I was advocating for cards, but all kidding aside. So, Evan, I was, what I was, trying to tell Carlos and team was the one that you are working on, right, which is default or whatever, should be able to expand and cover the whole screen so that the properties are closer also. It's not like you're going so far, and it's easier to work and view is also better. So something
Yeah.
that.
That'd be nice, because, I mean, and I know this will change, but right now there's very few ITGs that have multiple consumers. So the norm for a long time is just going to be a default.
Okay,
Right.
got it.
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, we want the default or whichever one we're working on to be the biggest, but yeah, default being the biggest also, right? That's a good point. If
Okay,
nothing
yeah.
else.
Yeah, definitely. We can take a look on how we can expand and make use of all the available space when there is no other consumers. Yeah, we can see that.
That would be great. Or maybe even if you're just working on one specifically, it could potentially take over all the real estate, and then you can like maximize, minimize it, or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was having on my mind. Like, take all the available space when it is not used. You can, yeah, for sure.
No, even if it's used, right? I mean, that's what I was saying also in the demo.
Yeah.
Right? Like the active one, make it big so it covers everything, right? The top half of the screen maybe, right? Where you have three, if you select default or if you select my account or whichever one, and then that add to work as edit or whatever the mode is, then it expands. And once you finish and save, then it's side by side and comparison is easier.
Yep.
Right?
Okay, yeah, we can.
Or like I was just trying to expand a little bit on that as well. It's like, is there like a minimize, maximize option just on the top where it says default, right next to like the copy and the edit buttons, where you can say, okay, maximize it, it takes up the real estate, minimize it, it goes back to what it was, and you can do that for all of them as needed.
Yeah, I think something like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe something
then,
like this. Yes.
Yep.
And if you click maximize, then you will be using all the available space.
Yeah, minus the property section or something.
Minus the property. Yeah, of course, because you still need to have access to the properties. Yes,
Yep.
definitely.
That's a good idea. It's impressive that you were able to draw those boxes that quickly with everybody watching too.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put that as a note also, the maximize and minimize. And if there is no other comments, then I think that will be all on my side.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it.